En CNN Chile tenemos el gusto y el honor de conversar hoy día, y ustedes también de poder ser testigos de aquello, del economista, profesor, intelectual, Premio Nobel Joseph Stiglitz, uno de los intelectuales más relevantes de la actualidad y que además, hay que decirlo, fue parte del panel El futuro de la democracia, ¿por qué importa? Un evento realizado por la FES en la Universidad de Chile, donde compartió con académicos, ciudadanos, estudiantes universitarios, visitantes del Asia-Pacífico y también con el presidente de la República, Gabriel Boric. Así es que, thank you very much for this interview.
Nice to be here.
For me too. And first question, what's your opinion on the controversy caused by the Democracy Always Summit? Because of the leaders, because all are from the left wing, and because the tense situation between Chile and the USA regarding tariff. What do you think about that?
Well, with respect to the last question, the controversy over the tariffs, it's so clear that Trump is filled with misperceptions and misconceptions and grievances. He's worried that other countries are treating the U.S. unfairly. The U.S. wrote the laws governing international trade, not alone, but they were the dominant power.
The most important power, certainly.
So it's very ironic that he would say that those rules are unfair to the United States. I've often complained about the rules from the position I had as chief economist of the World Bank. I was saying they were unfair to developing countries and biased towards the United States. The sad thing is that currently what he is doing is going to be bad for the United States.
I'm gonna ask you later about that, but now about democracy, so important subject. Is democracy under threat?
Yes, democracy is under threat. Most clearly in the United States, where Trump has made no bones about being anti-democratic. He tried to overthrow the election in 2020. Biden had won by 7 million votes, and yet he claimed to be the winner.
He's complaining.
And there was an insurrection in Washington.
Yeah,
and then, this time, he comes in and pardons all those who committed this most serious crime in a democracy, which is trying to overturn the peaceful transition of power. He pardoned them. And some of the policemen defending the Capitol lost their lives, and he pardoned them. So when we look at it from the United States, yes, it's under threat. And then we see what he's done in the first few months. He's trampled on the rule of law. He's trampled on the rule of law, the procedures you're supposed to follow, with grave consequences.
So will you say that Trump is a threat for democracy in the United States?
Very much so.
And in the world?
And in the world, because of what he's doing, it's a threat for democracy. His demand that Brazil not follow their rule of law, and
or he's not going to suffer the consequences
with 50% tariffs is an attack on democracy. And I'm very pleased that President Lula stood up to President Trump.
What if we don't talk about only Donald Trump? Generally speaking, what are the current threats to democracy?
Well, there are other leaders that are as bad in Turkey and several other countries. There are threats to democracy, or it's already gone over. But there are broader problems that I think have given rise to the situation we're in. enormous growth of inequality.
Yeah.
And some of this is related to the platforms, the dis and misinformation that is going across the world, often in viral, creating a kind of polarization all over the world, a distrust of truth, an attack on the very institutions that are concerned about creating knowledge and verifying knowledge and assessing truth. All those are part of democratic institutions, all part of the institutions that were, you might say, the children of the Enlightenment. All of these are also under attack. And the oligarchs, the new tech oligarchs that are being created, don't understand democracy and are willing to make profits at the expense of our democracy.
Because, you know, more and more and more citizens say, if democracy does not ensure a minimum quality of life and security to go outside my house and to go around the city, why defend it? If democracy doesn't ensure a minimum quality of life.
I think there's some validity to those concerns, and I think our democratic governments in many ways have failed. Yes, we focused on GDP, on the economy growing, but we didn't ask how does that GDP being reflected in the lives of ordinary individuals.
Of course, everyday life.
Everyday life. And so what if Jeff Bezos is having a $1 billion yacht?
Yeah.
That's not affecting my life. And if I can't have health care, life expectancy in the United States has been going down. Here, the richest country in the world, life expectancy is in decline.
Imagine in Chile.
And if I can't have security for my retirement, my physical security, then of course there's going to be questioning. So there has been a failure of democratic government. And it's partly because I think we got too focused narrowly on material well-being. And governments thought they were doing a good job if GDP narrowly measured was going up. But that's not enough.
No.
And it's not enough when people face all kinds of uncertainties and insecurities, including physical insecurities.
And how, from your point of view, how has the left, the social democracy, or you can say the progressivism, failed in relation with democracy and citizen?
Well, I mean, part of the reason it failed was it adopted over a period of 40 years the same economic ideology that the center-right did, which was neoliberalism. And it tried to think that if we just freed up markets, trickle-down economics would make everybody better off. So it focused too narrowly on materialism, and it had the wrong economic model. It didn't realize a successful society requires collective action, working together, a kind of social cohesion, focused too much on individualism at the expense of societal cooperation. And all of that led to a kind of a polarization that was inflamed over the last 10 years by the social media and a problem with our information ecosystem.
And for you, is the concentration of political and economic power is a threat to democracy?
Very much so.
Oh, wow.
You know, we've long recognized that for democracy to work, you need systems of checks and balances. But if you have an agglomeration of economic power, that's going to be translated into a concentration of political power in one way or another, in different countries in different ways. But that concentration of political power is going to undermine the system of checks and balances. And Exhibit A on that is the United States, where we have now, openly, we talk about the oligarchs. The oligarchs are running America. Elon Musk trampled on all the protections that we have built into our legal system. Protections about how systems are, due process, things you're supposed to do to make sure that the basic rights of every individual are protected. He trampled those because for him, all that mattered was power. And for him, money meant power. And
one person, one vote, not $1, one vote.
Exactly.
Yeah, you said that. And we are in the middle of a presidential process, so I would like to ask you some things about Chile. Is the far right, not only for Chile, for the world, a threat to democracy?
Yes, in the form, especially in the United States, but in other countries. The far right openly in the United States says more important than democracy is the preservation of our way of life. And what do they mean by that? It's the preservation of the inequalities that they have. And they're not just economic inequalities. A lot of it is social inequalities. A big issue has become gender rights, the equality of men and women, racial rights. One of the big issues with the right in the United States is we are trying to deal with a legacy of slavery.
Yep.
We've not fully dealt with it. They didn't get the right to vote until the civil rights.
Yep.
During my lifetime in the 1960s. I mean, to me, it's unbelievable. But that has left an economic legacy. And they don't want to deal with that economic legacy.
I would like to ask you, how can the war and a country like Chile, we are a small country, respond and to react to Trump's decision, in relation with tariff and another kind of a decision in the economic and political subjects?
Well,
it's not easy. We are a small country in front of the United States. So,
I think, obviously, this is a question that one has to approach from a long-run perspective. The countries of the world have to decide, is the world going to be one which is basically driven by one country, by power, or is it a world where justice, human rights, principles of democracy are going to apply at a global level? In the short run, you can't do very much. In the long run, you can join with other countries to say that there is an alternative framework.
Separate, we are going to lose.
Separate, you're all going to lose. But the irony in all of this is the U.S. is losing too. This is what Trump is doing is not good for the United States. The big winner is going to be China. Some other countries may wind up being winners, but the United States is going to be the loser out of this.
Why? Could you explain to the people who are seeing this interview?
Because the tariffs are not going to bring back jobs to the United States. Copper is not going to be mined in the United States. just because we have higher cost of importing copper from Chile. It's going to make it more expensive for us to produce and more expensive for us to compete with other countries. So even our manufacturing industry is going to be hurt by the tariffs against Chile. So our producers are not going to be very happy. Meanwhile, Trump is also attacking science in the United States, our universities in the United States.
Yep.
But sciences in our universities are the basis of our economic strength. Why is the United States the center of the technology? It's not because of the natural resources. It's because of our man-made human capital. We invested in universities, and we made the greatest universities in the world.
But you need to think without boundaries, without the limitations.
We were global. We brought people from all over the world. And we benefited, unfortunately, from what happened in Europe in the 1930s. We received large numbers of refugees.
Yep.
And now many American academics are thinking of leaving. China and Europe are making offers to American academics.
Very attractive offers, how was capitalism failed, as mentioned you in some books, not only one, in more than one. For example, globalization and its discontents, the price of inequality. How has capitalism failed? Could you explain for the people who are seeing this interview?
Yeah.
And if you can say at the same time, does progressive capitalism exist, as referred to you in your book? Can it be built, and if so, how?
So, capitalism failed, as I mentioned before, because of the excessive focus on materialism, material goods, a lack of regard for equality, social justice, a lack of social solidarity. And so you wound up with a system that encouraged selfishness, divisiveness, and the irony is that the extreme form of capitalism pushed by, say, Milton Friedman here in Chile,
we very well know,
was even a failure economically. As we moved in the United States closer and closer to the kinds of model that he wanted, growth in the United States slowed dramatically. So what we now understand is that successful growth requires public investment in infrastructure and technology and education, systems of social protection.
But we need capitalism, but another kind.
Exactly. That's what I call progressive capitalism.
That is your perspective.
And we need markets, but we also need other institutions. We need NGOs, we need government, we need civil society.
A new social contract.
We need a new social contract, absolutely. So when we all work together in that way through these whole variety, what I call a rich ecology of institutional arrangements, we can actually get a kind of shared prosperity. And with that shared prosperity, we can actually grow faster in the way that people really care about, giving them more security, more freedom to live up to their potential.
But you know, in this presidential process election, we have a lot of politicians saying that the inequality is not a problem. What do you think? What would you respond to them?
I think that's wrong. If you think about in any country, even you know, whether it's Chile or the United States, if you took that pie and you divided it more equally, there wouldn't be as much suffering. There would not be as much, you would have more productivity because more people would be educated, more people would be able to live up to their potential. You ask the question, what is the most important resource for any country? It's not its natural resources, it's human resources, it's people. There are places where there are lots of natural resources, but they're poor. But that's because they don't have the human capital. So a society with more equality can enable more of its population to live up to their potential. And that will make for a richer society in the meaningful sense of a richer society.
Talking about politics, what do you think if Chile were to have a communist president?
I think these labels ought to be forgotten. I don't know enough about Chilean politics to comment on the label, what the label means here in Chile. But to me, these are labels of the Cold War. The Cold War ended in 1990. We're now 35 years after.
Yeah, but you don't think that the communism is a good system, is a model?
No.
Not for this
No,
time.
it failed. It failed. And no one thinks that that model will work.
Some of them, yeah.
Well, but people with that label are echoing back to a belief that there ought to be more social solidarity. So, you know, history has a legacy, and you get political groups that evolve from one to another. And I say, I can't talk about Chile because I don't know enough about the Chilean situation, but certainly the meaning, in the context of the United States, the meaning of what socialism is today is not the meaning of socialism 45 years ago. It used to mean public ownership of the means of production.
And that is not a good idea.
No one is talking about that today. They may say, we ought to own some particular industries or certain particular, you know, maybe the mines, but not the means of production. That's just a vocabulary that is out of date.
Joseph Stiglitz, thank you very, very much for this interview. It's been an honor to talk with you.
Thank you.
Y ustedes, por supuesto, sigan en compañía de CNN Chile.